guys doing today? It's me, Chanel. Today, I'm coming to you with episode 3 of The Prescription. Is the 4 phases of change. How I got this is from a verse that I was led to, Ecclesiastes 3:3. And basically the verse says a time to kill, a time to heal, a time to break down, and a time to build up. So I looked at it as the steps to change. And I'm going to go through it with you, and I'm going to use examples from my real life at different points. And everything I'm talking about happened in 2022, so this is all current. This is my path of change, my path to where I am today as I continue to grow each and every day. So the first one is a time to kill. I took that as a time to defend yourself. This is when people who are used to who you are, what you were, how you used to move, and how you used to treat them start to react differently to the new you. As you begin to change your character and personality in life for the better, those who benefited from those previous personas will in fact wage war against you in certain situations. I mean, you're now rocking the boat. You're upsetting the apple cart. And there's different people who benefited in different ways, and I'm going to explain different ways in different people and different types of people and how they respond. The first are those that you enable. Those are the people in your life who are now no longer going to benefit from you serving them in certain ways, and they do not want to let you go. They don't want to let the situation go. They're not trying to change that. Another one is because you're becoming and waking into your potential in your life, you're going to have some people in your life who are now going to become jealous of that. They're going to become jealous because you found out what you're supposed to do. You found out your potential. You found out who you're supposed to be. And others are going to be jealous because it may be different than what they are, and they feel that it's greater in somehow. You're also going to come across people who are going to become envious. You're going to find out some of the people were already envious, and they're really envious because they saw your potential light before you did. And they never wanted you to discover it. They didn't want to see you grow. They didn't want to see you shine. You're going to meet people who just don't want to see you surpass in life. They don't care if you grow or shine as long as you don't do it on their level. There's another group, people who are just miserable. And you know, misery loves company. They do not want to see you happy because you decided to change your life. You decided to heal. You decided to move forward, and they didn't. So they want to make everybody else, including you, miserable. And during this period, you may experience a plethora of attacks in different ways in which you have to defend yourself. You also have to realize sometimes defending yourself can be standing still, because everything does not need a response. Sometimes you're quiet. Sometimes you not addressing certain things that are just completely and utterly preposterous is the response. So you have to, pray and meditate and act accordingly depending on the situation you're in. So I'm going to touch on 3 areas in this. And like I say, I'll give examples throughout. So the first one is physical altercation. Someone trying to draw you into an act of violence so you can be arrested, so you can hurt them, you can be sued. They may videotape you acting out of character so they can try to expose you on social media or some other outlet. But they only going to show the part that shows you reacting. They're not going to show what led up to it. And people who know you know how to push buttons that other people don't. They know how to take you to a place that other people don't. So they won't show what they did, whether it was warranted or not. It just shows you not being who you say you are changing to, or it shows you going back into an old pattern, which can have effects mentally, physically, emotionally, and on the people who deal with you. On the converse, they can actually physically attack you. They can have someone try to attack you with other heinous acts. The next one is they can attempt to hurt your finance. And as you know, a part of healing is a part of financial healing, is a part of changing your mindset financially to grow, to change your relationship with money, to make sure you're securing your future, make sure you're taking care of, your credit, your bills, everything in your life, changing that, as well as your career, your path, whether you're a business, whether you're corporate, whatever it is, even if you're, healer, whatever it is, it's addressing that. And so if you have a business, they may tell people not to work with you. They may attack you by saying that they don't want to give you good reviews, or they say you don't provide the service. So now people don't want to buy your product, or people don't want to pay for your service. So now your revenue has been cut. So now you're worried, you're stressed, money's not coming in. And when you're stressed and worried about money, you're stressed and worried about your finances, you're stressed and worried about whether or not you can pay bills, or whether or not your business is now going to go under after you put so much money, so much time, so much energy, it distracts you from the other parts of healing. So attacking your finances is really a big part of people trying to stop you from progressing. If you're working a job, they can try to block a promotion or pull a promotion from you. They can say things that can change how other people in the job view you, so they interact with you differently. They could attempt or succeed at getting you fired. But even in that, sometimes you have to look at the blessings in certain things, because sometimes getting fired actually puts a fire under you to do what you're supposed to do, because maybe that job wasn't where you were supposed to be. The universe works in different ways, but everything happens for a reason. So in the last area, I'm going to say defamation and slander. We all know what that is. That's lying on you, making up stories, making up actions that aren't true, people playing on your top, exaggerating, blowing certain situations completely out of hand to make them look good and make it seem like you were the bad guy, or you just did things just unknown for no reason at all, you know. Some may go as far as to take legal authority action on you. They may slander you in court. They may have you arrested or detained possibly. And in this particular one, I'm going to tell a story briefly. It's very personal because I don't share my business like this, but I'm going through a divorce right now. And so on the legal aspect, after I left the time and I filed for divorce in court, did the paperwork, and some searching situations were happening between me and my ex. Well, he got upset and he went to a judge. He went to a court and wrote out to the judge and had me ex parte. And for you guys who don't know what that is, in Florida, that's Baker acting. So he went and lied and said some things, and one morning I got a knock at my door, 8 o'clock in the morning. I'm literally in my room with my older two sons, and we're just having a conversation. Police at my door. They asked me to step outside, turn around. I'm like, okay, what I'm being arrested for? They're like, well, you're not being arrested, you're being detained. You've been ex parte. I'm like, what is that? You've been Baker acted. For what? Like, what am I being Baker acted for? And so get down to MHRC, 72-hour hold, based upon what was said in this paperwork. And just to step on that really quickly, that process needs to be changed too, because in this process, a person can go to the courthouse and fill out paperwork and say some things, which when I got out, I read what he said. If I was a judge, based off what was read, I would have been corrected me too. But they were lies. They were just straight lies. And they were mischaracterizations that were just taken, didn't even make sense. But you should send a resource officer. You should send someone to talk to the person. You shouldn't send police and make them sit for 72 hours to get this sorted out, and come to find out it was fraudulent. And sitting down there, I actually only had to sit 2 days, because when I got there, talked to the intake, talked to the psychiatrist who had to release me, and, you know, deemed me competent, and said they didn't know why I was here. And then when I explained certain things and they were talking, they actually wasn't supposed to, but they let me out early. They gave me credit for a day. So I'm going to sidestep again, because I do want to speak on MHRC. There's some things I'm going to expose about MHRC as well in a whole nother podcast, because I saw some things that were straight criminal there. But that just goes to show you, when people don't like the fact that you're moving on, don't like the fact that you're changing, you're not doing what they want you to do, they will go to some extremes you never in life would imagine. So the next step is a time to heal. And I interpret that as recovery. It's about healing your inner child, no matter what stage in life that was hurt, whether it was you were a young little baby, or whether you were a teenager going into young adult. And I look at the inner child healing process as a tree. And this is the process I went through this year. The process I undertook was working from the leaves to the root. Under each tier, you will uncover a path that will lead you to enlightening yourself about you, about why you react certain ways, how you think, and how you are affecting other people in your actions, and how you react to certain actions. So I'm going to use me as an example in each one of these, just to show you briefly. I'm going to start at the leaves, because on a tree, they're the extensions that hang down. They're the last part. So the leaves are our actions and reactions that we exhibit. So for this example, I'm going to use addictions. Our actions are addictions. So the one I chose is money. And people who know me, I'm not a materialistic person, but I became a non-stop hustler. I mean, I have a hustling spirit, but like I was hustling stupid, like all day and night, not sleeping for days. I looked at worn down. I was exhausted. I was barely home. I was literally catering, getting up 6, preparing, delivering, setting up, doing that to about 12-1 in the afternoon, shopping, taking care of things at the house. If I went to the house for a long period of time, or buying stuff for the house, maybe 2 or 3 hours, then I'm heading out to my business, my other business, which is my beauty business and my vending machines, and going to events, venues, clubs, trying to hand-to-hand sell to people, just all different things, doing photo shoots. I was even doing notary at one point, mobile notary. And then when I wasn't doing that, I was doing GoPuff and was doing Uber till like 3 in the morning. And that's if I slept, because some days I wouldn't sleep for 2, 3, maybe 4 days in a row. Like I was run down. And honestly, as I think about it, I have no idea where most of that money went. It was just going out as fast as it was coming in. And when you're tired like that, your mind doesn't get a chance to recover. It doesn't get a chance to rest. So that tends to happen. You just don't really, your life becomes a daze. So now the next part is the branches, and the branches are the triggers. The triggers are what cause us to act or react in particular ways. And for me, my trigger was escaping. I was escaping. What was I escaping? My life. My life was falling apart. My marriage was over. I felt lost. I felt hurt. I didn't want to go home. I stopped caring about me. I stopped caring about life. I started caring about everything to a point where I was neglecting my kids because I wasn't home that much. I would make sure they had stuff, but I wasn't home because I was always working or trying to get away. Like, even if it was just to hang out a few minutes with a friend, or going out to eat, like I was always trying to do something to occupy time, so I was spending minimal time with my kids. I would spend time, but it was just minimum, and I had just become a ghost of myself. And I had begun to lose all self-worth, all self-respect, all value for myself, dealing with certain situations that extend back about 3 years of really when it started, but it just really hit like rock bottom this year. So I realized instead of me facing my issues, facing my problems, I decided to run from it and try to act like it didn't exist. And that didn't make it not exist, it just exacerbated it. So the next part is the trump. It's the funnel stage. This is when we have that fight, flight, or freeze response. What was instilled in us is to how we react in toxic situations. And so for me, you see, it was a flight response. I tried to escape. And I realized this for me was for several reasons. I was a people pleaser. Also, I appeased people. And I liked, after my teenage years, like during my teenage years, I was a mean person. I was very aggressive. I still help people, but I was an aggressive person. I'm not going to lie. I ain't going to sugarcoat it. And I went for conflict versus after I had my son, met my husband, later got married, had more kids, I avoided conflict. And I just went to a point from one extreme to the other. Instead of running to it, I ran from it, and I was just appeasing people, which in the end became very detrimental. And I ended up in situations where I constantly was getting hurt over and over again, and every time it's like a hit, belt, lower and lower. And I also realized in helping people, part of that was selfish too, because I was using that as an escape. If I'm helping someone else, I ain't got to face my own issues. I'm worried about your issues. I'm trying to change your life. I'm trying to help your life. Even if you would ask for certain things, it may have helped. It may have been beneficial, but you didn't ask for it. I just saw the need because that's the person I am, but also because it allowed me not to focus on me and not heal me. And see, I'm always, and to this day, I am satisfied. I like to see people do better. I like to see people grow. I like to see people smile, but I don't need to do it at the detriment of myself. And that still doesn't mean I can't address what I have to go through. But at that point, I was also just happy to be around people, even if it was fake, because they just wanted to be around me because they were benefiting in some form or fashion. Which led me to what was the root cause, the roots of the tree. Where does this inner child pain come from? Your inner struggle that you be running from, the underlying hurt, the pain we bury. So with me being a people appeaser, I realized that came from me being younger, feeling like I wasn't loved when I was growing up. And so I was always in search of love and admiration in others. And because I couldn't find it in myself. And the reason I couldn't find it in myself is because I didn't love myself. And so it took me going through this process to realize I have to love myself. We can't find love in other people. We can't find love in other situations. We can't find love in our mate. We have to find it in ourselves. And in finding that allowed me to come up with steps to self-love, and including divine love, which has allowed me to grow. So the next one is a time to break down. I took that as a time to reflect. Reflecting, going inside to see what needs to be changed, what needs to be released, what serves us, what doesn't serve us. I consider this moment what you would call hermit mode, because it requires solitude and isolation for different amounts of times and different ways depending on your situation. But it's that time where you have to go inside yourself. You have to look in your heart, your soul, your mind, and realize what it's time to let go of. What times, what things, what people, what situations, what possessions. We have to let go of a lot of things so we can start making changes and bring in the new and move toward our future. Also, it's time to evaluate the health of your mental state. If you have mental issues that need to be addressed, if you have codependency issues that need to be addressed, if you were dealing with a narcissist, you have to get over that. That's a whole nother situation of therapy that you have to go through. Also, mental in general. Are you trying to grow? Are you trying to gain wisdom? Are you trying to gain clarity, intuition, knowledge, discernment, all those things? Next, physically. Are you going to the doctor? Are you checking on your physical health, making sure you're okay? Make sure you're going to the dentist, making sure your teeth are good. Have you gotten that deep cleaning? Are you addressing any cavities? Maybe you want to just whiten them so they can look better. All those things that make you feel better, which make you heal as well. Also, making sure your hair, making sure you have the right products going on your skin, going in your hair. All those things affects our mental health as well. The next thing is emotionally. Are you fixing yourself emotionally? Are you maturing emotionally in how you respond to things? Are you healing yourself? Based on the situation, if you are hurt in a relationship, are you trying to open your heart again and learn how to do that? If you were hurt in relationships that were platonic or with family, are you trying to learn how to trust again? Whatever situation you went through, are you making yourself steps to become a whole person again so you can attract another whole? Because if you're not, then you're not moving forward. Because in the end, fragmented and broken people cannot be whole. People say they're trying to find the person to complete them. You have to be complete, and they have to be complete for it to work. For it to be a complete union, for it to become the yin and the yang, both halves have to be complete. They cannot be fragmented, so you have to heal yourself. Also, you want to attract your soul tribe. You want to attract people who are going to help you grow, and in turn you help them grow, so we can all be the best versions of ourselves. Spiritually, whatever path that may lead you on, what steps are you taking to connect to the divine, the creator, Heavenly Father, God, whatever name you call with what you resonate with. What are you doing to call upon that help, call upon that strength? Are you making consistent steps toward it? Even in chewing your path of spirituality, again, I'm not going to talk on that. Everybody has what they do, whether it's traditional, code, indigenous, whatever resonates with you. I would just ask, whatever resonates with you, do it. And don't just go with it because that's how you was raised or that's what the people around you do. Find out if it works for you. If it's working for you, continue. If it's not, find what does. Just because we've been doing something for a long time is not a reason to keep doing it if it's not working. We have to evaluate that, and what doesn't work needs to be changed so we can continue to grow. And in that, as we grow, we realize even spiritually, mentally, physically, everything is seasons. Life is seasons. It's almost like a business cycle. It's cyclical. Just like right now it's fall, we're about to go into winter. Winter is like death. Trees, barren, everything falls off, but it's followed by spring, like rebirth. Ground, grass coming up, flowers. It's beautiful, right? So the blooms are coming out. That's your life. That's the transformation you're going through. Some things have to die. Some things have to fall off. Some things have to be released. Some doors have to close. Some things have to be let go for new to grow. And for me, this mode lasted for months. I really didn't want to be around people because I had a lot of people that left when I was down. So I didn't want to deal with anybody because I felt so hurt after all I had given my whole life to certain people. I've given so much. But during that time, it allowed me to connect spiritually, allowed me to connect to the Creator. It allowed me to reconnect with my kids because, like I say, I was absent for about 6 or 7 months on a consistent basis of making sure they were all right in all facets, which means their mental, their physical, everything. Yeah, make sure they go to school, or the older ones, making sure, just providing, doing what legally you have to do. But it's way more than that when you're a parent. And if you're, a parent that's hands-on, you really understand that. It also allowed me to look inside myself and realize I wasn't as nice of a person as I thought I was. I had done some things that wasn't right, and so I had to make those things right. I had to write out, I call them novel texts, to certain people, explaining, apologizing, explaining certain things, why I did certain things. Certain conversations had to be had, certain phone calls had to be had, meetings or whatever. I also had to tell people how certain things they did made me feel, to speak my truth to them first, to let them know that, what you did hurt or what you did wasn't right. This thing, because that's a part of healing too. You have to speak your truth in healing for you to truly heal. It also led to me having a beautiful respect for Mother Nature. As you see, everything I do is in Mother Nature. Like, it's dark right now, but I'm still on the water, by the water. I even go out in Mother Nature and walk barefoot. People look at me crazy, but I'm also an activist. I believe that we're here to protect Mother Earth because it protects us. I mean, trees help us breathe. Like, look how beautiful Mother Nature is, and plus it needs to be here for generations to come. Everything we eat in our body in some form or fashion comes from the earth, whether it's fish, whether it's animals, whether it's plants, the air, like everything. So I'm very big on saying protect Mother Earth. I also had to completely go in and change how I looked at myself, so I could open up my heart, so I could trust again. And I also realized I had to accept my flaws. I had to accept that I'm imperfectly perfect, that I'm going to make mistakes, I'm going to have missteps, but that does not change who I am. It means change those mistakes, but move on, learn the lessons I need to do. And when I'm wrong, admit I'm wrong. Don't make justifications for it, just admit I'm wrong, and so I can move on, which is a part of self-actualization. You realize you're not a victim all the time. And even if you were a victim, living in a state of victimization is unacceptable. Yeah, you can't control everything that happened to you, but you can control how you respond to it and how you stay in it. It's also about accepting you. It's also about loving you and realizing that we all have a past, but our past doesn't define our future. Our past helps us build on the present so that we can change our future, so we know where to go and where not to go. So the last step, a time to build up, I took that as now it's time to start that new foundation. So the first thing I'm going to say in starting your new foundation, submit your foundation on stone and rock, not sand. Because, when that wind blow, when that rain pour, when that storm comes swirling in, if you stand on your foundation, if you solid as a rock, you will stand no matter what. And when that storm is over and that rainbow comes, you're still standing. You have that strength, you have that courage. But if you build it on sand, it ain't gonna last. I believe that truly your foundation, no matter what your spiritual belief or path is, that's where your foundation needs to start from. And so that leads me to the next step of that, which is picking a path. You have to sit down and pick a path. And to me, that comes through prayer and meditation, which go hand in hand. I say you pray to whoever you pray to, ask them for what you want. Pray to God, Creator, spirits, whatever. You pray for what you want, and in turn, you meditate to receive that answer. So they do go hand in hand. And you also have to find out two things. You have to find out what is your life purpose and what is your soul purpose. When you discover what those two things are, you're able to evaluate them, and that takes soul searching, but it allows you to now choose a path you have to go through in life, which then now once you choose that path, you have to set goals to make it happen. And that can start with making a vision board, note cards, put it in your phone. You can even vision it in your head, vision your future, your goals, so you can move ahead. And for me, I got a vision in my head. I got an image. I got all kind of stuff in my head. I write them on note cards. I tell people, I'm trying to talk it into existence. I'm saying it into the air. I write stuff in my phone. It doesn't matter, because the more you reiterate it, the more you believe it, the more you speak it into existence, it will happen, as long as you put action behind it. And with that, we're moving into the action, which is do something every day. Little steps lead to giant leaps. Don't get discouraged if you don't have a lot of time. Even if it's 10 minutes, even if it's 15 minutes, do something if you can. And even in that, if you don't have time, or if you miss a few days, don't worry about the past. The past is gone. Start at the present and continue in the future. If you have time that day, hey, I'm going to just do 10 minutes right now just to get my mind back right, to make sure I do something so I don't go back and fall into bad past habits. Or if I realize like it's nighttime, oh, well, but you know what? In the morning or I'm going to make that effort. I'm going to make sure it's done the next day. And what that does, that stops you from going into past self-sabotage habits that have previously hindered you from changing or moving forward in various aspects in your life. For me, I had two tendencies that really get me, and that's procrastination, and I would say bad time management or prioritizing. Basically, I would prioritize bad, and I wouldn't manage my time, and I would spend hours on stuff that didn't really need to be done versus the stuff that need to be done. And procrastination, I just putting stuff off to the last minute, because they call me the closer, the clutch one, because I always come through. But that mentality actually instilled in my brain, like sometimes I will always wait to the last minute because I can come through, because I don't mind the pressure. But the pressure, after a while, when you're that closer, it can start to make you crack, because that pressure sometimes becomes too much. Even when you come through, and you always come through, it still becomes a burden. But like I say, when you do start at the next step, whether it's that same day if you only have a few minutes, or the next day, it allows you to retrain your brain to stop you from spiraling, to stop you from being like, oh, here we go again. Now I'm back to doing that. And what it does is it allows you to be like, hey, you know what? I changed this. I caught it and I changed it. I'm no longer procrastinating. I'm no longer bad at prioritizing. I'm just going to make it happen. And when you do that, it allows you now to identify what you are doing to self-sabotage and stop it, so you can change it, and it won't affect you anymore, because you know what it is and you know how to defeat it now. And for me, even in procrastinating, I'm going to tell you about my 4 paths. So basically, I have 4 options. I could have been successful. I would have been successful in each one of them, no matter one. But I had to decide which one would be the most satisfying. I had to figure out which one aligned with my soul's purpose and my life purpose. And for me, it's becoming a healer. And so that's the decision I made Saturday. And I started this podcast Sunday. And it's a crazy story I'm going to share with you. Like, it was just divine universe intervention as to how this even came about Sunday. But that's when I knew I did choose the right path, and this opportunity came upon me. So I knew I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing and what I resonate with. And that leads me to the last part. The easiest and the hardest part is walking the walk. It's walking down that path that you chose. It's staying down when it gets hard. When that forest gets thick, it gets dense halfway through. You don't know whether you want to keep going, whether you want to turn around. It's misty, it's dark, like everything around you is just going crazy. You don't know. It's like you just got to stay the course. You got to stand your ground. I mean, even in standing your ground, just think of it kind of like climbing a mountain. As you get closer to the top, the air gets thinner, it gets harder to breathe. Your muscles are atrophied, they're tired, they're weak, your legs are tired. You're looking down and you realize, man, I came a long way. But then you look up, you're like, I don't even see the top. Like, am I ever going to get here? But you got to realize in that moment, you've came that far. So why are you going to stop now? But your mind puts itself in a conundrum. It's like, should I keep going or should I turn around? No, you just keep going. Because think about it like this. If you climbing Mount Everest, and now you can't see the top when you're climbing it, but you see the clouds. But think about it. If you turn around, you know what the bottom looks like, and you know that's where you're going. But if you keep going, you have no idea what's past those clouds. You have no idea your limit. You have no idea how you can be taken, how far you can go. because in the end of the day, we are only limited by ourselves. So I would just advise you to keep grinding, keep working harder, work smarter, but also hard. Just continue every day doing something. And I'll leave you with this. If it's your dream, if it's what you want to do, take a step toward it, because only you can make your dream a reality. As always, love and light. Thank you so much for tuning in today. And you guys have a wonderful day. I will see you tomorrow.